My awakening. I found my new neighbor strange, but in a good way. He was always so happy and nice. People where I live were never that nice. First time that we met, he came over with cookies that he had baked, which actually tasted great. No one here ever did stuff like that. They focused more on neighborly feuds than on actually getting along. To be honest, they were pretty judgmental. He seemed nicer than the neighbors that I had in the beginning and was a breath of fresh air. Multiple times, there was a guy who would drop in and off at his place, which I assumed was his boyfriend, because he told me in the beginning that he was gay. As for myself, I had only dated girls, but was on a break. I tried to avoid anything to do with love. I'd been played, then I healed, and then started to focus on a relationship with myself before I focused on my next one. He invited me over to a housewarming party the same weekend that he moved in, but most of the neighbors did not show up. Our neighborhood had a lot of older people who were a bit stiff. I saw the way that they looked at him sometimes. I found it stupid to judge someone based on their sexuality. Anyways, I went to his housewarming party and we had fun, even though we were fewer. I actually got along well with him and we exchanged phone numbers. But I did notice that he was fighting with his boyfriend a few times, and it looked really hectic. The day after his boyfriend stopped coming over, as we were texting, we started to talk about relationships, and he told me that the guy was not ready to commit to their relationship, which is why he had broken up. It saddened me that he was threatened in that way, because I experienced that in the past as well. That little heart-to-heart we had brought us a lot closer. Most of my friends lived a bit further from me, so I did not get to see them as much as I wanted to. So he became my new friend. There was nothing like forming a new friendship. It's the most exciting time ever, from finding out that you have similar interests to making inside jokes. That is the best stage of any relationship formation. We had a lot of late-night conversations that were pretty deep and confided in each other until we got a very deep level of understanding. Now my neighborhood is kind of stuck up. I only got a house there due to the lower crime rate and the short drive to work, but essentially, I don't like the vibe. People would say stuff when I was with him. Sometimes it would be out loud, at other times, they would mumble something incoherent. I hated when they did that because I could see that it hurt him. One day, we were just innocently walking when this woman came up to us and she said something that was a bit absurd. "Hey, I don't want to come off as rude, but a lot of people are kind of uncomfortable seeing you together," she said. "What?" I said. "I don't have a problem with gay people, but there are kids here and they could be influenced," she said. I found that what she was saying was ridiculous because firstly, we were not a couple. We were just taking a walk as friends. Secondly, Jeremy was not hurting anyone or influencing anyone's kids. "Are you kidding me? Jeremy has not done anything but exist, and you have a problem with that?" I asked. "Oh, well, just stay away from the young ones," she said. I looked at Jeremy in horror over what the lady was saying. We had just been walking together, and she seemed to have a problem with that. I hated this place. "Okay, before I tell you how off the mark you are and completely lose it, we're going to leave." I rolled my eyes and dragged Jeremy after me. He was my friend and no one was going to disrespect him like that. "Are you okay?" I asked him when we got back to his place. He had not said a word ever since the encounter with that woman. "I've heard worse. At least she called me gay and not some offensive term like I usually get," he shrugged. My heart went out to him and I hugged him. I was surprised by how the hug stirred something within me. I pushed the feeling down and focused on making my friend feel better. People can suck. Do not let her ruin your day. I mean, what was she even talking about? We're just two friends who decided to go on a walk, I shrugged. I had been staying away from anything romantic for a while, which meant no dating or intimacy, but sometimes I would think of him and have certain feelings, which I thought were nothing, and I pushed them down often. I realized then that I had not replied to him because he was staring at me and I had no idea what he had just said. "What?" I asked. "You're deep in thought. I said it's the best to ignore people like her," he laughed. I had the sudden urge to kiss him. I mean, I had been thinking about it for a while. These new feelings that I had started to get every time I saw him drove me mad sometimes. My heart was still beating so fast after the encounter with the other woman, and I had a feeling that a kiss would calm me down. Maybe it had just been so long since someone was in my personal space, and I was still getting used to it. But I kissed him for a second, then I pulled away immediately. He raised an eyebrow and his eyes widened a bit, then he leaned in and kissed me. I savored the feeling of him, and I was so lost at the moment, my body felt so relaxed as we made out on the couch. My desire overcame me and I started to remove his shirt. I continued trailing kisses all over him while he kept eye contact with me. The whole thing escalated as if in a trance. I followed him to his bedroom. I removed the rest of our clothes and got into bed. I reached for him as soon as all my clothes were gone and cupped his cheek. "I want to do more," I said. "Are you sure? We can stop when you want to," he said. But the floodgates had opened and I was feeling everything tenfold. My desire threatened to rip me apart if I did not do something about it. I had been battling these unknown feelings for ages. It felt good to let my guard down for a moment. To hell with the consequences. And so then, we were intimate. I never knew that sex could feel so freeing and easy, but with him, it was just like that. I felt safe, as if my body already knew his. Our hands were intertwined as the pleasure overcame us, and even after we were done. All I could do was take deep breaths and live in for the moment, for a little while, because what we had just done could not be more perfect. For weeks we had been peeling back layers and becoming closer as friends, and with it came the buildup of attraction. I mean, I was not very surprised that I had just slept with him, because somehow I had known that I wanted him for weeks, but I was so good at hiding it from myself and others. "Are you going to leave?" he suddenly said. His words stung my heart. A few weeks ago I would have never been in this situation, and if I was, then I would have left, but I found myself not wanting to leave. "No, I would like to stay for a while if you do not mind," I said. "I do not mind. You can stay," he said as he came closer to me. Minutes went past as we were in our comfortable silence, and I guess I fell asleep in the middle of it all. When I woke up, it was early in the morning, and he was not beside me. That gave me a moment to think about what had happened and what it meant for the two of us. I mean, I had not really given much thought to my sexuality growing up, but there had been times when I was closer to some guys and affectionate with them, but I did not do anything with them. With girls, it was a bit different because I liked being friends with them, but when I dated them, the relationship always failed. I would have trouble fully connecting with someone even if my mind told me that they were awesome and ticked all the right boxes. My last relationship felt like it was one with the most potential, until she told me that she fell for someone else, and they had gotten engaged while we were still together. Then Jeremy had come to this icy neighborhood and pretty much made me his friend from day one, and we had never gone back ever since. I had grown to look forward to spending time with him, and the small things he did started to add up. And the intimacy. I looked deep within me and did not find one part of me that regretted it. Despite all that, there was the other side of the coin. I had never been with a guy before, nor did I know what real love was. I seriously did not want to hurt him or give him false hope, just like his ex had done. I got up and dressed up before going to look for him. He was just finishing up baking some cookies, and he had also made tea for us. "What time did you wake up to get time to make all of that?" I asked. "It's a habit. My family owns a bakery and I used to work there. On most days, I cannot control the urge and I end up baking even if I'm alone." He grinned as he put down a plate of cookies in front of me. "Oh, and who eats them?" I asked. "At my old place, my neighbors would, but it seems that no one likes baked goods this side," he chuckled. We continued to make small talk while we ate our breakfast, which was very delicious. I could see that he was fidgeting a lot though and seemed to have something on his mind, which I was pretty sure I could guess. "I do not know who I am 100%, I started. "No one does," he laughed. "But I have been getting to know you for months now, and you've become one of my closest friends," I continued. "I understand if you want to be just friends. I'm sorry if you were not ready for—" "No, it's not that. Yes, I still need to think about what happened last night. I'm going to be clear with you in the beginning. I have the purest intentions, and I do not want to hurt you." "I know you would not hurt me," he smiled. "Will you go on a date with me?" I said. "Wow, I did not expect that, but yes," he smiled. "I hate playing games of any sort, not putting my all into someone, especially someone who deserved the best like him. I wanted to give us a chance of working out because I felt like there was something beautiful between us. Most people prefer now to rush into sex, but for me, it was an eye-opener. I connected with him on a much deeper level when we bared ourselves in front of each other, and I was not going to let the chance pass me by. "When are you free?" I asked him. "I have work later today, and the rest of the week. How about 2 nights from now?" "Your place or mine?" he asked. "Actually, there is a small restaurant close by that I think you would like," I suggested. "In public? Are you sure?" he asked. "Yeah, it's not like people have not seen us together before." "Yeah, but no one knows you." "None of their business," I said, and I truly meant it. Heterosexual people went on dates all the time when they barely knew each other. So why couldn't any gay male and questioning one go on a date in public? The year I had taken off relationships, getting to know myself had really helped me build my confidence. and to stop caring so much about what other people thought, because people would always talk. In the days leading up to our date, we did not see each other as often due to work being hectic, but we kept in contact through texts and calls. I confided in Justin, my best friend, ever since we were young, that I was going to go out with a guy. Justin had come out as a bisexual a few years ago, and I had been the first person that he told, so I felt like he would be able to understand me better. I cannot say that I'm surprised, he said. Why though? I asked him. I've seen you together. I thought it was just a bromance, and forgive me for being a little bit jealous, but now it makes so much sense. You like him, he beamed. Well, as I've never been on a date with a guy before, I actually came because I don't want to mess it up, I said. You have not been on a date in a year. You might be a bit rusty, but do not worry. Justin to the rescue, he chuckled. My best friend was overdramatic sometimes, but I liked that about him. It was never a dull moment with him. So then the day of our date came, and I was so excited yet nervous. I think I changed my shirt more than 3 times because I was trying too hard to be perfect. But when I saw him, my nerves lessened a bit. His presence was one of the most calming things for me. I did not worry about how I looked or how he was feeling. I just focused on enjoying the moment that we were sharing together. We got to the place where I had made a reservation in time, and guess who we saw there with her family? The lady who had been mean to us. She glared at us when we were being led to our table, which was a bit rude, but yeah, this time I ignored her. All I wanted to do was have a good date with Jeremy, which we did. It was like we were no longer in the restaurant, and it was just the 2 of us. The conversation easily flowed, and we had a good time, leading me to stop worrying about anything else. I felt certain as I sat there that what I felt for him was not superficial. It was more than fickle feelings which I had felt towards women I had dated in the past. I was certain that I had not made a mistake in choosing to go out on a date with him, despite the hostile looks we received at times. Even though we still had quite a while to go in building our connection. I was ready for it. We finished eating our dessert and called for the bill. I noticed that the woman was about to get up when her husband gave her a look and she sat down. From the way she was looking at me, she did have a huge problem with us, and I did not give a damn. We paid our bill and we left, but that was not the end of our date, for we went to his house and continued enjoying each other's company. For weeks, we went on dates to different places and got to know each other. The more I got to know him, the more I was sure that what I felt was real. Never before I had felt so confident with someone. We began to officially date, and I started to tell our close friends and family. My parents were no longer alive, and I only had an older sister, but she was happy for me nonetheless. I also got to meet his family, which was massive but very loving. The lady, who always seemed to have a problem with us, tried to start trouble by accusing us of several violations, to try and get us kicked out of the neighborhood, but she failed dismally. That only caused us to move in together so that we could save on rent. It was much better than finding a new place just because of someone who would not mind her own business. Moving in together was a whole new adjustment. Suddenly we started to notice that we each had bad habits the other could not stand, but it was fun nonetheless. And most people in the community ended up accepting us and not acting so prickly when we showed affection in public. Being with him taught me to be brave and not to pay too much attention to what people were saying. Our relationship had been a bit of a whirlwind, but we had settled comfortably with each other in the end. I was finally happy and content with who I truly was, even though it had taken me a very long time to realize who I really was, but it was worth waiting for my love, who I hope to be with for a very long time. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.